Remarkable. That's the first thought that arises whenever I reflect on the delicate dance between anxious and avoidant partners. Indeed, the push and pull nature of these relationships might seem both terribly compelling and dreadfully exhausting. Welcome to How to Fix an Anxious Avoidant Relationship and When to Leave. In the next moments, we'll delve into the reasons this roller coaster can feel so mesmerizing, outline some strategies to break destructive cycles, and clarify when it might be time to walk away for good. Let us set the stage with a small confession. In my years of observing and occasionally advising couples swirling in anxious avoidant patterns, I've learned that these partnerships are often crafted in an emotional laboratory. One partner, frantically seeking reassurance that they are loved, valued, and indispensable, locks eyes with another who seems calm, self-reliant, perhaps even a touch indifferent. In truth, neither person is as they appear. The anxious partner is not merely needy, and the avoidant partner is not purely aloof. There are subtle gradations beneath the surface, shaped by old hurts and uncertain hopes. And so begins an emotional tango that is by turns enthralling, frustrating, exhilarating, and heartbreaking. Picture a starry-eyed romantic, someone I call the open heart, thirsty for closeness, spinning fantasies of a perfect union. Then imagine they attach themselves to a rolling stone, a partner quick to duck intimacy, determined to preserve independence at all costs. The result is a seesaw of push and pull. When the open heart yearns for more closeness, the rolling stone recoils. When the rolling stone finally musters the spirit to approach, the open heart might push for answers, for firm commitments, for dramatic avowals of love. Both remain locked in a pattern of emotional whiplash. One begs, "Do you truly love me?" The other bristles, "Stop smothering me." Behind those seemingly contradictory stances, both harbor the same fear. If I reveal my vulnerable self, will you still want me? The anxious partner's every fiber aches to believe love is real, if only the avoidant partner would prove it. Meanwhile, the avoidant partner cannot imagine that anyone would accept them as they are, so they prefer to keep a strategic distance. Each inadvertently confirms the other's worries. The anxious one feels perpetually on edge. The avoidant one feels perpetually pursued. It's painful to watch, and even more painful to live through. Contrary to the assumption that these are opposites who attract, anxious and avoidant partners actually share a fundamental similarity. They each struggle with fear of rejection. The anxious partner copes by clinging. The avoidant partner copes by running. Both are experts in self-protection, just in opposing styles. The anxious individual learned early in life that closeness is precarious. Maybe love was unpredictable, or a caregiver seemed warm at times, cold at others. So they concluded, "I must double my efforts to secure love. If I do not, it disappears." The avoidant partner, by contrast, might have grown up with a caretaker who scorned or ignored emotional displays. The lesson was, no one is reliably there, so I must rely on no one but myself. When these two collide, the anxious partner's need for constant reassurance and the avoidant partner's need for emotional distance confirm each other's old convictions. "I see. Closeness is as dangerous as I feared," says the avoidant one. "Yes, indeed, I must chase after it or be abandoned," says the anxious one. And so the old story repeats. You break up, only to reconcile within days or weeks. One of you begs for just a bit more emotional response, while the other thinks, "I'm suffocating. Let me breathe." There's a swirling confusion. Are we doomed? Are we soulmates? Perhaps you're soulmates with a destiny to argue. Conversations frequently veer toward fear-laden topics. Are you about to leave me? Or don't control me? The question arises, Can you fix an anxious avoidant relationship? The short answer, yes, if both partners are willing to examine their own patterns and meet in the middle. If one half of the couple expects the other to do all the changing, that seldom succeeds. Let's consider a few strategies. 1. Recognize the deeper fear. Both anxious and avoidant partners must grasp their shared terror of abandonment. One panics at the thought of losing closeness. The other panics at the idea of being trapped or overwhelmed. Realizing that your partner's exasperating moves are actually protective maneuvers can soften your own defensive posture. Then you might ask, what exactly are they trying to shield? Where do these illusions of threat come from? Second practice, slow, incremental vulnerability. Telling an avoidant person, "You must share everything right now," is a surefire route to slam them shut. Instead, encourage small steps. Perhaps they start with telling you how they felt about an incident at work or a minor disappointment. Then, show acceptance, not judgment. For the anxious partner, it's equally vital not to deluge the other with endless demands for proof of love. Instead, be measured. Ask for one thoughtful conversation rather than a marathon of heart-to-hearts. Third, work on communication tools. Harsh accusations, "You never try," or "You're too needy," heighten the tension. It helps to use language of the form, "When this happens, I feel," or "I need this from you because." Another key is reading between the lines of your partner's words. The anxious partner might scream, "You don't care about me." But the subtext is, "I'm panicking. Show me that I matter." The avoidant partner might sigh, "Stop making everything a drama." The subtext is, "I'm overwhelmed. Give me some psychological air." Fourth, schedule check-ins. For the anxious partner, unpredictability is a major torment. The avoidant side rarely sees the need for frequent relationship chats, but a structured check-in can stave off the anxious partner's meltdown. Try a weekly half-hour to discuss how each of you is feeling. The anxious partner knows an opportunity for closeness is coming, and the avoidant partner can mentally prepare. 5. Emphasize we. When conflicts arise, phrase them as joint problems. "We are facing a misunderstanding," rather than "You're the cause of my misery." This fosters an idea that you're on the same team, not adversaries. 6. Seek outside guidance. If you suspect a deep well of distrust, or if past trauma is shaping your dynamic, consider professional help. A therapist attuned to attachment issues can gently dismantle the labyrinth of blame, shame, and defensiveness. Still, not every anxious avoidant relationship can be saved. Or more precisely, not every one should be saved. When do you walk away? Perhaps you've already tried all these steps. You've introduced structured communication. You've softened your language. You've refrained from hurling blame. You've valiantly contained your anxieties while giving them space. In short, you've been a model of generosity, and yet, you remain in torment. The avoidant partner never budges, never invests more than the bare minimum, or the anxious partner spirals so frantically that no measure of calm from you seems to help. You might consider leaving if there's no willingness. One partner dismisses or mocks the entire notion of addressing attachment issues. If you're alone in the effort to improve, the dance is unlikely to change. Abusive or manipulative behavior. If avoidant behavior morphs into repeated emotional cruelty, ridiculing your needs, punishing you for wanting closeness, or gaslighting you into believing you're crazy, walk away. The same goes for an anxious partner whose jealousy or anxiety shows up as aggression or continuous sabotage. Endless cycles, zero progress. You find that the same cyclical arguments replay every week or month, with no sign of forward momentum. Your mental health is in tatters. If you're sinking into constant despair, anxiety, or a sense of worthlessness, it's time to step back. Love should not be an indefinite battlefield of tears and tantrums. Leaving is never easy, particularly for an anxious partner who invests all in the dream of if only. But at some point, the heartbreak of staying surpasses the heartbreak of going. If your well-being, personal growth, or self-respect are systematically eroded, you may owe it to yourself to let go. You might wonder, does an avoidant truly crave closeness? The answer, in most cases, yes. Beneath the armor, they're just as emotional, just as eager for acceptance. But they've spent so long not relying on others that opening up feels foreign, like speaking a strange tongue. If you, the anxious partner, can offer patience and gently invite them to share, they might in time see there is far more comfort in a supportive embrace than in perpetual solitude. However, if your proposals for closeness are met with mocking or endless cold shoulders, and your anxious energy cannot settle, best not to delude yourself. Some storms never calm. For the anxious partner, be mindful that your desperation for connection can appear to the avoidant as a tidal wave. It's not that your feelings are invalid, but rather that the intensity can feel suffocating. Show your vulnerability with clarity, but let them respond in smaller increments. This is a test of your own self-regulation. Can you remain grounded while waiting for them to approach? For the avoidant partner, see how your distance might register as utter rejection in your lover's mind. Taking a little initiative, sending a thoughtful text, setting aside a quiet evening, leaning in with genuine curiosity about their day, goes a long way toward dissolving their sense that you don't care. Oh, absolutely, if each can occasionally step into the other's shoes. The anxious partner has to dabble in a bit more self-soothing, give the avoidant partner glimpses of ease rather than ceaseless demands. The avoidant partner has to open the gates from time to time, trust that closeness won't instantly devour them. When both do so, a remarkable synergy emerges. The anxious partner's capacity for warmth and loyalty merges with the avoidant partner's level-headedness and independence. They can teach each other balance, like a seesaw, eventually settling into equilibrium. It sounds straightforward, but of course it's not. Anxiety, heartbreak, fleeting hopes, and deep-seated doubts tend to sabotage the best intentions. Success arises from repeated small gestures, from honest talk about triggers. It's from pausing mid-disagreement to say, "This is a pattern again. Let's not escalate." It's from being prepared, on both sides, to see the fear that lurks behind each other's harsh words or silent withdrawal. If you manage that, truly manage it with sincerity, you may discover a relationship that stands on a firmer foundation than many. Why? Because you and your partner have faced your illusions and matured together. You appreciate the shape of each other's vulnerabilities, rather than ignoring them. That can foster not only love, but a quiet, abiding respect. Yet, if, after all the attempts at bridging the gap, your hands remain empty and your heart stays perpetually bruised, no shame in stepping away. Letting go of a repeated heartbreak is often the bravest choice. The heartbreak will eventually pass, while self-respect and emotional peace are worthy prizes to reclaim. So how to fix an anxious avoidant relationship and when to leave? In short, repair is possible if both partners commit to introspection, gentle communication, and mutual empathy. Departure is best when you face unyielding walls of dismissal, or your mental well-being unravels despite your best efforts. Neither choice is trivial, but each has dignity if pursued with honesty and compassion. One final note. Remember that anxious and avoidant dynamics are not destinies, but patterns. People can and do change. If you're anxious, you can learn to self-soothe, cultivate more confidence, and recognize your worth. If you're avoidant, you can learn to unearth your emotions, to trust that closeness may actually be liberating rather than stifling. Growth, after all, is part of being alive, if one is willing to attempt it. Whether you repair this bond or step into the unknown beyond it, may you remain mindful of your own dignity, your own capacity to love wholeheartedly, and to be gently loved in return. Embrace your own journey, and if the two of you can align your journeys together, so much the better. If not, let there be grace in goodbye. Take these words for what they are, an invitation to clarity, not a condemnation or a guaranteed solution. For those who manage to break the anxious avoidant trap and build something new, bravo. For those who find it all too heavy and choose the exit door, you are not a failure. In either case, the quest for a love that balances closeness and independence remains open to you, and I dare say, that is the quest worth having.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.